What's going on, everybody? My name is Matt and welcome to Downshift. In the world of compact luxury SUVs, you have way too many choices. So today we're going to focus on two of the sportiest. Today we're going to be looking at the Alfa Romeo Stelvio and the Acura RDX. I've done full reviews on both of these vehicles, so if you're interested in more information, go down to the description and find the links. For the sake of this comparison, I'll be focusing on 7 key factors that matter to people when shopping in this segment. So let's jump into the Stelvio and have a look. Before jumping too much into it, I do want to thank International Autos for providing the Stelvio for this video. You'll notice I'm not in the Stelvio. That's because I had to record previously. A whole lot of life stuff happened. The important thing is I've driven it, I've got my impressions, and I'm going to share them with you today. The first category is exterior styling. The Stelvio, as you would imagine, being an Italian car, is one of the more elegant and refreshing looking crossovers on the market, and I personally like the traditional boxy design of SUVs, but there's something about this Alfa grille that really stands and catches my eye. I love the design of this car, so 8 out of 10. Interior design is also really good. This is where we need to keep in mind that design and quality are very different things. I like the design of the Stelvio on the interior. It's minimal and it's ergonomic, and I like the infotainment screen and how it's integrated into the dash, but it has way too much bezel and loses some points for that. The steering wheel is also one of my favorite things, and I don't think I'll ever get tired of pushing the start-stop button on the steering wheel. In the quadrifoglio versions, which is the one you really should get, that's where you're going to get the most out of this Stelvio. It's red, and I'll never get tired of pushing that. So interior design, 7 out of 10. The third category is space. Interior and cargo capacity is not one of the strong suits of this Stelvio. The elegant and sloping body and roofline take up some trunk space, and the rear seats are livable, but it's more CX-5 than CR-V. So interior space gets a 4 out of 10. Now I want to talk about quality. Remember how I said quality and design were two different things? This is what I mean. On one hand, you have really supple leather and Alcantara on the steering wheel and on the seats, but on the other hand, you have really kind of scratchy plastics and a lot of piano black in some places. So it's really, really good things and kind of bad things. It's a hard decision, but I really look for quality in terms of build materials in the really, really small things. The Alfa just doesn't use as nice of build materials in small details as the RDX, so quality is going to get a 5 out of 10. The fifth category is technology, and it's not the best for the Alfa. Heated seats, heated steering wheel, split screen infotainment, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, all available for 2018. It does also have a safety suite. It's not super intuitive. It does have adaptive cruise. It has passive lane keep assist. It'll kind of emulate a rumble strip when you're leaving your lane. But it just needs more tech in this segment. The RDX comes with way more stuff, and we'll get into that in a bit. Now we get to talk about dynamics, and this is the best part of this Stelvio. The Stelvio shares the same platform as the Giulia. It's Alfa's Giorgio platform, and it's brilliant. They didn't bloat the Stelvio either. It's only about 2 inches longer and 1 inch wider than the Giulia, and it's only a couple inches taller. So the weight is really still low, and so is the center of gravity. The Giulia is one of the best handling cars out there, and this Stelvio is very reminiscent of that. You feel a lot of that. Plus the turbo 4-cylinder with 280 horsepower and 306 pound-feet of torque is the most powerful in the segment by a little bit. Plus it has a snappy ZF 8-speed transmission, and those massive, massive paddles behind the wheel are wonderful. The only thing I don't really like is the intelligent braking system. But other than that, this thing drives phenomenally. It's super fun. That's really the standout point of this car, so 9 out of 10. And now finally I have to talk about value with the Stelvio, and again, it's not the best. It starts at about $42,000, which is more than the RDX, plus you don't get a lot of the technology. The build materials are a little bit shoddy in some places, and overall there isn't a whole lot of space. Remember, this is still an SUV and people want practicality. That's why they're getting into one of these things. But what you also have to keep in mind is this is an Italian SUV and you have to treat it as such. It's made to be looked at. It's made to be driven. That's why it doesn't have a whole lot of invasive safety equipment. That's why it doesn't have a whole lot of technology to distract you from the driving experience. The exhaust is great. The engine is peppy. The transmission is super quick. And it has, Q4 all-wheel drive, so it's capable. It puts power down. It's a whole lot of fun. So that's where this car is going to stand out. But unfortunately, it's just not enough in this segment, especially up against the RDX. So a 4 out of 10 for value for the Stelvio. So we are in the Acura RDX, and first we're going to talk about exterior styling. So the Acura RDX is completely new for 2019, and as such it gets a complete makeover. It's the first Acura to be built from the ground up, from the beginning, with their new kind of 5-point shield grille. It looks mean, it looks aggressive, and it matches their kind of precision crafted performance moniker. Overall, the design, I think it may be a bit busy for some people. I actually like it in this spec specifically. It's got this gorgeous blue with the black accents in the grille and the door runner, but it's not, you know, like traditionally elegantly beautiful. I don't think it will, you know, stand the test of time in terms of design, so I'm going to give it a 7. Now, in terms of interior design, this is in keeping with Acura's kind of precision cockpit that they introduced in the NSX. The dash is a little intimidating at first glance, but after about 5 minutes, you really start to understand how everything kind of makes sense. It's very intuitive, it's very ergonomic. It just looks a little angular and aggressive, but it's to match the sportiness of this car, so I think it's really fitting. One thing that I will kind of say is that the touchpad to control the infotainment is a little bit different. I know a lot of the Germans, what everyone's pretty much used to is the kind of scroll wheel that you see in the Germans and in the Mazda, things like that. But I will say that it's pretty intuitive. Once you've spent about 20 minutes using it, you really start to understand how it works. You just have to learn the system, and then it makes sense. So as far as interior design, I'm gonna give this thing confidently an 8. So now we're going to talk about interior space, and this is where the RDX really pulls away from the segment. In the trunk, you've got about 30 cubic feet of space, just a bit under. Drop the rear seats, you double that. It's segment leading, it's fantastic, loads of space. Plus you also have cubbies under the floor of the trunk that you can lift up, and you've got more space. You also have a full-size spare mounted under the car. So it's practicality central in this thing, it's fantastic. However, my favorite part of the space in this car comes from the rear seats. You have so much room back there that, you know, I'm 6'1", sitting behind myself. I still have, you know, this much room in front of my knees. It's segment leading in terms of rear seat capacity, especially with this standard panoramic sunroof, which is also segment leading as the largest sunroof. You never ever feel cramped. So as far as interior space and practicality, I'm gonna give this thing a 10. Perfect score. Now I want to talk about quality and build materials, and this is another aspect that has been really upgraded for 2019, is everything is premium. All the leathers are extremely supple, the stitching is precise, the wood and carbon fiber and, you know, the suede that they use in the inserts on this A-spec, it's beautiful, it's elegant, it makes the car feel like a much more expensive car. So all those quality materials mixed with a nice, elegant interior design really makes this thing feel very premium to compete much closer with the Germans, if not be better. So for quality, the RDX gets an 8 out of 10. Now, talking about technology, the equipment in this SUV, this RDX, is top-notch. You get Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, you get this huge split-screen 10.2-inch infotainment screen, plus you get Acura Watch as standard. Plus on technology trims, you also get a nice vivid heads-up display. So in terms of technology, I think this thing deserves a 9. So now I want to talk about dynamics, and the main story here is the reintroduction of Acura's super handling all-wheel drive, and it is fantastic. It makes the car feel much lighter, more nimble, more agile than its weight and size suggests. It whips it around corners with such ease. It feels like a much smaller and lower to the ground kind of sports car or SUV. It really is fantastic. The dynamics and the handling of this car really are confidence inspiring. I think I like it even more than a BMW X3. Now, the super handling all-wheel drive is just part of the story. You still get one of the strongest engines in the segment in Acura's 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder, gives you about 272 horsepower and 280 pound-feet of torque, and it really does feel it. You get to 60 in about 5.7 seconds, which is getting pretty close to sports car territory. So not only does this thing now whip around corners, but it now has the muscle to pull you out of corners in a nice strong fashion with this nice powerful engine. The only thing that I wish would be a little bit different is I wish the A-spec trims would have a little bit more power, or if we could get a Type S. I would love to see an RDX Type S from Acura. That would be fantastic. Just 50 more horsepower, you know, just to compete with something like the BMW X3 M40i would be perfect. Especially with the super handling all-wheel drive, it would feel incredible. So dynamically, fantastic. It gets an 8 out of 10. Now finally, I want to talk to you about value, and the base price for an RDX is about $37,000. If you want everything that this thing can possibly come with, you're still going to max out under 50 grand, which is still several $1,000s cheaper than German competitors. So it's more fun to drive, it's better appointed, it has more space, and it's similar, if not better quality in terms of build materials, fit and finish than the Germans for several $1,000s less. So I'm going to confidently give this thing a 9 in terms of value. Absolute bargain. One of the best, if not the best, small luxury SUVs on the road. So there you have it, guys. Those are the differences between the Stelvio and the RDX. The Alfa came in with about 40 out of 70 points, and the RDX came in with about 58 out of 70. So the more modern and better built, more detail-oriented, and bigger car is going to win this comparison, and it really should. This is a luxury compact SUV segment, but it's still an SUV segment, so you need to have the practicality. And Acura offers the biggest back seat. It offers, you know, way more trunk capacity, and it's just overall it's just built a little bit better. The Alfa is a lot of fun, and you can tell that they focused a lot of time and effort and energy into the drive and the dynamics of it, and it does drive really, really well. But the super handling all-wheel drive is fantastic in the Acura, and it's not that much less powerful, so it's still a really, really beautiful overall SUV done by Acura. Now, everything isn't for everybody, so if you care more about driving dynamics and appearance, go with the Stelvio. It's still a fantastic car. It looks great, it sounds great, it drives really, really well. It's a fun car. But if you have kids, or you have, you know, a bunch of stuff that you have to haul around, and you want a really intuitive infotainment system and, you know, really, really comfortable vehicle, go with the Acura. My personal opinion, the Acura is just overall a better car. If the Stelvio came with a little bit better interior build materials, a bit more technology, and a couple more creature comforts, the Acura comes with cooled seats. I love cooled seats. Stelvio doesn't have it. You know, it's just the little tiny things. But if Alfa can bring that, it'll definitely match up with the Acura a bit more. But the Acura wins, hands down. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know a couple of you asked to see this, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, leave a comment, hit that like button, subscribe. I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.